Thank you, Elizabeth. This is the time in our agenda where we entertain responsive resolutions, and we don't know whether we have any until I look at my email at 6 p.m. on Saturday night, according to the rules, Rule 10 actually, that we passed on Thursday morning. So could we open up the amendment microphone and the makers of this business resolution introduce it? It was handed out, I believe, was it not? It's on the GA app as well. I don't have one in front of me, but so I recognize the delegate at the amendment microphone, or the delegates.
Hi, I'm Eli Bradford from the Westside Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Seattle. We, as a religion, have acknowledged that we support the Black Lives Matter movement with the passage of the AIW last year. This has done very little as to our attitude towards people of color. Voices of color continue to be marginalized and spoken over and for in our churches. All of our activism has been comfortable and required very little personal work or sacrifice for white people. Our job as a faith is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. We have failed majorly on both regards. I am using we pronouns, but I'm only including myself as a function of UU society. It is not the job of people of color to fix the world's racism problems, considering that most of our modern world was built on our backs and continues to actively work to suppress and oppress us. You whites have self-congratulated a lot for people who had a significant amount of trouble passing the Black Lives Matter AIW. The public witness, well, private witness, was supposed to be a public statement of our faith, but instead you all gave yourselves a big pat on the back for solving racism. Guess what? Racism hasn't been solved. You tell us that the system isn't working against us, but you wouldn't call this a system if it wasn't working. Anthony Ragler. We are all accountable for all of our past words and actions. The Black Lives Matter AIW General Session was used to hurt Black and other POC instead of working towards progress. This was a further symptom of your continued oppression of people of color. We are calling on the UUA Board of Trustees to issue a multi-level report on responses to Black Lives Matter at the next 3 General Assemblies. You put us in leadership as tokens and don't listen to our voices. Well, here we are. Langston Hughes said, "Negroes, sweet and docile, meek, humble, and kind. Beware the day they change their mind."
Thank you. I'm guessing there's a second out there. I hear many seconds. Clearly this has a great deal of support. And we have 30 minutes to debate it. Or we can do something by acclamation. Is there any desire to debate it? Oh, I do recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
Yes. Angela Bridgman, UU Peace Fellowship, Raleigh, North Carolina. I just want to express my support for this responsive resolution. As a proud citizen of Raleigh and a proud transgender person who has marched with Dr. Barber many times in Raleigh, in Black Lives Matter marches, in his HK on J marches, which is historic Thousands on Jones marches, I have stood shoulder to shoulder with the Black Lives Matter movement. As a transgender person who often has to live my life in fear, I stand solidly with my African American brothers and sisters who also have to live in fear and should not have to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a serious question. Is there an appetite in this hall for acclamation, or would you like to hear more discussion on it? I hear an acclamation. So all those in favor of doing this business resolution without further discussion and with great enthusiasm and acclamation, raise the card. There's an objection. There's an objection. We want to talk about it. That's okay. That's what democracy is all about. So I recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
I'm requesting permission to speak as a co-author of this resolution and also as someone with expert knowledge.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Allie Butler Cordova. I'm with the First Unitarian Society of Madison. As a faith, we have acknowledged and affirmed our backing of the Black Lives Matter movement with the passing of the AIW last year. However, the passage of this AIW has seemed to equate to success in our anti-racism efforts as Unitarian Universalists to many individuals. But we have not succeeded. Our work has not ended, it has only begun. Our activism for this movement does not start with hanging up a banner outside our congregations and end with the passage of the Black Lives Matter AIW. When UUs have to hold witness to our own attempts at advocacy and pat ourselves on the back for their allyship, this is not support. When UUs of color are recruited as a token minority on congregational committees, this is not support. When UUs think that signing a check and throwing a bill in the offering means that we showed up for Black Lives of UU, and that accomplishing that means we're done with this activism, this is not support. When UUs encourage each other to stay woke, yet vote against the CSAI for the national conversation on race, this is not support. When UUs can praise the way a person of color preaches at the podium, but the message calling us as a faith to action flies over their heads, this is not support. When UUs need constant reassurance that their well-meaning intentions overrule impact or lack thereof, this is not support. General Assembly in Columbus reeks of unproductive white guilt rather than white discomfort, which UUs desperately need to sit with. Once our faith has sat with this and let it seep into our hearts, we can move away from the discussions to the action we so desperately need. We cannot call ourselves a radically progressive faith we think we are when we refuse to prioritize the marginalized and oppressed voices of color, specifically Black ones, within our faith. We cannot claim to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person when our faith has barely scratched the surface of what we call anti-racism work. Thank you.
Thank you. I recognize, do we have someone at the procedures mic? I recognize the delegate at the procedures mic.
Specialer than me.
Are we being
Carolina,
polite out there?
I'm Carolina Graham from Church of the Larger Fellowship, and I hope this is the last time I'm here. I have heard a lot of great supporting statements for the AIWs. I believe that this is a very important thing, and I would like to know how is it that I can make it, or I can ask you, that we would hear more. I am sure that there is more to hear.
Oh, we can do this. We
Yeah.
can do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I recognize the other delegate at the procedures mic.
Danny Davidoff from Unitarian Church in Westport. You know, I'm sitting here, Jim, thinking, as I look out at so many of those beautiful faces who I am privileged to know, that this is a really good example of how our reinforced Robert's rules, rules-driven, we mean well, a system doesn't work anymore. Because, you know, I was brought up through parliamentary procedures, a person of privilege, to understand that a vote of acclamation is we want to do this, we love you and everything, but it's like a flyover. When the folks are asking for conversation, and this is not meant to be critical of you, a reflection on my part of how the system that I think we all yearn for is not the system we're working with, because we need to find a way for people like me to understand better what's being said and get it beyond my white privilege rhetoric of support to something that's more like the sandpaper that Nancy Ladd was talking about this morning. So I don't know, we don't want to withdraw the acclamation, but it's not satisfying because it's too easy for us.
Thank you. So let's hear some conversation about this. I recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
Hello, I'm Shafia Christos Rogers from the First Unitarian Church of New Orleans. And I stand to say that earlier, within the last half hour, we were reminded that we are all family. And that it is when we understand one another as family that we know if we shape our programs, if we do our work in a way to encourage and support that, then we might get somewhere at chinking away at this big rock of racism and other forms of oppression. And so I just want to say that I think this day calls us more than any to understand sometimes family has to school you. Sometimes we need to listen outside a sense of celebration and hurrahs, but to listen in a deep way and bring something that moves us at a deeper level. And as a white person, I'm standing up here with people who are my family, and I am part of something that's harming them through my whiteness. In spite of any good intentions I've got, I am a part of doing harm by virtue of being a part of all these systems in this congregation and outside in our communities. And so I want us to hear this and take the time to listen to the voices, and do so from a place of the deepest kind of humility we can find. And it may not be as deep as it needs to go, but we can go a little deeper every day, and this day is one of those days.
Thank you. I recognize the next delegate at the pro microphone. Sorry, I've got a procedure question. I recognize the delegate at the procedures microphone.
Hi, Jim. Christina Rivera, your fellow trustee on the Board of Trustees. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege.
Certainly.
When this is passed, and I know it will be, I would like you, as our moderator, this beautifully written responsive resolution calls on the board to take action, right? And that is really important, that you are calling on us to do this work. And not just work, as Denny said, but conversation, right? To be in conversation, that this isn't just about producing a report at the next 3 General Assemblies, right? We are going to be in conversation, in community. We are going to do the difficult things as a board. It's calling on us to do the work. So when this is passed, I'd like an affirmation from you, our trusted leader, that we are going to do this difficult work, that we hear the call, and that we are prepared to respond.
Thank you. And let me assure you that when they brought me the business resolution, we spoke at some length before this was perfected, and I gave them that assurance. I recognize the delegate at the procedures mic.
Jan Taddeo, serving our congregation in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and
Kevin Lowry from the Unitarian Universalists of Wayne County in Worcester, Ohio.
we would like to ask if we could move into a committee of the whole and invite the group to come forward and
speak from the stage.
speak from the stage.
Oh, I don't think we need a committee of the whole, if you don't mind. I think we can come to the stage, and I'll invite...
However you think we can do it and be effective.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
However you think we could do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would invite the youth who penned this, organized it, talked to their blue siblings. I would invite you up to the stage, either through the stairs. All in that scrum are invited. Everybody in the scrum is invited. I'll take it as a point of personal privilege to give them the mic, but I see that I have a delegate at the procedures microphone, so I recognize that delegate.
Thank you. My name is Wesley Thompson. I'm from First Unitarian Universalist here in Columbus. And I would just like to ask you, Mr. Moderator, to remind us of something you've reminded us throughout the course of these debates, not to assume a particular attitude that's being addressed or attached to people in these discussions.
Very good, thank you. So let's be sure that we are honoring our youth and young adults that are up here, as you can see, standing together. And I would like to invite whomever wishes to speak at the microphone to just say something or anything, or nothing at all, or something. Okay, come on down. Can we move over? You want to speak? You want to speak?
All right.
You've got the crowd.
Hi, I'm Sir LeBaire Jr. Sir LeBaire Jr. from the UU Church of Akron. My Reverend Tim Temerson, really, he encouraged me to come out here. Reverend Elizabeth Wen, she encouraged me to come out here. I've known Leslie Mack for about 2 years. I met her after I came back from Ferguson in August. I remember seeing a lot of UUs out there in yellow shirts. Where are those UUs? Where were they on Friday? I was brought out here to be in a safe space, share my workshops, spiritual healing. I didn't prepare anything, so. And it's just interesting to me that I was brought out here to this safe space because everybody's proud of me at my congregation, put me on a committee, let me preach. And I'm brought out here. All these people are like, oh, you're so cool for fighting the system. We're all so cool. You're living vicariously through us. Because it's funny how you choose to fight a corrupt democracy and you use a corrupt democratic process to do it. It's funny to me how you say you appreciate us for fighting the system and you're the same system that now we're out here having to fight. I stand in front of sound cannons, rifles, dogs, and you think I won't stand in front of you and say this? I appreciate the concern that we got on Saturday morning, the $89,000 of African aid money that we now have to funnel through our middlemen to figure out how it gets to the parishioners in the congregations. We needed a public statement of support in front of our nation, our world, that this country was made great on the backs of slaves, that it's going to become great again by fighting that original problem, not 4 months of fighting Trump for the Democrats. I brought my family out here to be wounded, to hear about this betrayal. And now I have people, and we have to stay. The youth wrote this. We adults, we should have written that. I'm not necessarily asking how we're going to move forward. One of my delegates at Akron told me that he was really sorry for the black people in our congregation and our community. I'm sorry for the UU as a tradition. We don't need the UU. We are already connected. We've been connected for 2 years and longer, for 400 years, fighting these kinds of systems. So I want proof of why I should stay. I want proof of why we should stay. I want something done. I don't know about this responsive resolution. I've been a UU for 6 years. I haven't heard about any delegate system. So my question is, to the system, what are we going to do? Not what are you going to say?
Thank you.
I'm Isis James Carnes from All Souls of New London. I'd like to share something that I wrote while I was here. You white folks are afraid of us because of the wrongs you did and do to us. You think we want to do the same to you, but you are wrong. All we want is equality, a chance in the economy, a safe place for our families. We want the things you have and keep from us. But this is what you need to understand. We are getting angrier, closer to snapping. And one day soon, who knows what will happen? Because then you'll become the enemy of the majority. Yeah, that's what I said. You white folks are the majority,
are the minority, and we, the people of color, are the majority.
Chloe Rush Spratt from First Universalist in Minneapolis. My family has been members of First Universalist for about 4 years now, and 3 of those years I've been a university student, so I haven't had much time to actually be a part of the church. But every summer I come home, and I'm disheartened by the lack of diversity in my church. My church is I'm grateful to my church because it continues to speak out for racial justice and against injustices. But I feel very alone when I'm there. Then I was invited to come here. I had no idea what GA was. And I was invited by the BLUU. And without them, I would not be here. But I'm so grateful to be here because I have finally found a family among my Black friends and people of color faces that I can feel spiritually a part of. Without them, I would have felt so discentered for the rest of this summer. And while I'm so grateful for them, I'm scared to go back home. I'm scared to be alone without them. And we want change. We want change in our administration and the board. The banner is great, but when I first saw that banner, I honestly kind of scoffed because I was like, Black Lives Matter, but there are no Black lives in your church. You're saying it to yourselves. So, once again, I stand with them, and I've never felt more a part of something until this weekend. And I'm really hoping that you will listen to us, and you will demand change. You'll demand change in the administration and the bureaucracy of this, and really have faith in what Unitarian Universalists stand for, because we are Unitarian Universalists, and we believe in that. We believe in this faith and this spirituality, but we want it for everyone, and we want it to be equal and fair and just.
Let me say that certainly the moderator hears you. I think and that you need more than being heard. You've been heard. The moderator and the board, I haven't polled the whole board, but I have no doubt, based on a couple of our trustees' comments in the crowd, we hear your message, we will action it, and we will keep reporting on it. I can't speak for the congregations. This work is yours to do. You've got to take this back to your congregations. This message. Have the people that didn't come here watch the video of this when you got back. Create a service out of it. Because the work has to be done at our congregations and our communities. So please do that for us, and we'll keep reporting on it. Thank you. But we have some uncompleted business to do. We have to pass this resolution. All those in favor, raise your card. Thank you. Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, folks. That was really well.